you in the wet. Who's that? Punk, it's just some kid. Good for nothing, no good. Forget him. It's not worth it. Nah, you got it all wrong. That's some kid. 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 I see you. That's some kid. 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 That's some kid.
All right, we are here. We are on episode 7, the last principle in our Some Kid series, and our last principle is legacy. And this is one that is, we touched, the last episode we touched on sacrifice. Now we're touching on legacy. We are not holding anything back, folks. Mm-hmm. And so for this one, this is also where we get to the most powerful parts of the book, the saddest parts of the book. Maybe some of you teared up as you were reading it. And so we're going to do a brief summary, and then we're going to touch on this idea of legacy. And I'm particularly curious to hear what you have to say about this, because you've retired, you're still continuing to teach. But yeah, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on your legacy as a teacher. But anyway, I know that's almost too much. So it's too much to handle. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into chapter 20. Chapter 20 is the Hour of Triumph. This is the chapter where Wilbur is brought up on stage. Everybody's happy. Everybody's celebrating. And meanwhile, Charlotte is back and she's the person who's done all the work in this situation. She is back and she's just out of the spotlight completely. And she's listening to everyone affirm who he is. And she knows in her heart that Wilbur is now saved, because he doesn't just belong to the not the Zuckermans, the Arables. He doesn't just belong to the Arables. He now belongs to the entire community. And you're looking to kill a pig that belongs to the entire community. And so she now knows that he's safe. But it's this moment where and I think a lot of us teachers feel this. You put in a lot of work, and then it gets to the end of the school year. See you later, and that student moves on. Mm-hmm. And then that student is going to go on to accomplish things and do great things in life. And they and their parents and everybody else is going to get credit for that to a degree. And again, this isn't about credit, but you get where I'm heading with this. And when that student moves on, they leave a teacher behind. And that teacher is wrestling with those thoughts that we all wrestle with. Did I do enough? Did I do my job? Did I meet the needs of my class? Looking back and reflecting, how was the school year? And so we see this kind of like this public-private dynamic happening. You've got the public, everybody celebrating, yay, this is Wilbur. And then you have Charlotte just dying off in a corner. Not that we're dying, but you get where I'm going. It's a metaphor. All right, so let's go ahead and flip past that page and then to the saddest chapter, but also the most powerful in the entire book, which is chapter 21, and that is the last day. We could spend this entire section just reading this verbatim because it's such an incredibly powerful chapter. But essentially on page 163, at least in our books, she says, I feel tired, but I feel peaceful. Your success in the ring this morning to a degree was my success. Your future is assured. You will live secure and safe, Wilbur. Nothing can harm you now. You're going to live to see autumn. Things are going to be cold. You're going to see Christmas. You're going to see next spring. And then I absolutely love this part. It's the tear-inducing part. He says, why did you do all this for me? I don't deserve it. I've never done anything for you. And she says, you've been my friend. That in itself is a tremendous thing. I wove my webs for you because I liked you. After all, what's a life anyway? We're born, we live a little while, we die. A spider's life can't help but being something of a mess, with all this trapping and eating flies. By helping you, perhaps I was trying to lift my life a trifle. Heaven knows anyone can stand a little of that.
Funny, I underlined the same thing.
Yeah. And that is just you'll notice I put that at the very end of the Some Kid music video. Because this is the Charlotte's Web quote. It is just, but he said, why have you done this for me? I haven't done anything for you. And she said, because you have been my friend. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about being a teacher, that when you get enough years, I'm halfway through my career, 15 or so years into my career, you get to the point where you've had enough students come back and they express to you, just like even 2 weeks ago, I had a student call me. And this was a student, I wouldn't call this a Templeton, but this was a student who was just really struggling. And I made some sacrifices to try to improve his experience. He ended up, he had to move to another side of Florida, so he had to leave our school. And so it was just, the ending wasn't finished. It didn't end the way that he would have wanted, we would have wanted. He just moved and we didn't see him again. So anyway, he reaches out to me 2 weeks ago. He got my number and he just asked if he could call me. And so he calls me and he's no longer talking with this high middle school voice. Hey, Mr. Smith. Now he's like, he's a man, you know? Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, I just wanted to just call you and just let you know like that, like, I just appreciate everything you did for me. And he took 2.5 minutes out of his day to just say like, and he apologized, which he didn't need to apologize, right? But he took 2.5 minutes out of his day to just say like, look, I see now what you were doing, and I wish that I had been this, and I wish, you know, but it was just a genuine, I want to say thank you for what you've poured into me. And so I've been in this field long enough to have people say those things to me. And obviously it feels really good. You can start to understand your impact. But that's what this is. He said, why did you do this for me? And at the end of the day, this is every teacher saying, you've been my friend. And again, friend in the sense of like everything we've talked about so far in this series. It's the connection, it's the community, it's the identity, it's the platform, all of it. You wrap everything we've talked about, and that culminates in this episode of Legacy. Why did you do it? It's because of who I am.
You've impacted my life.
Yeah.
As I've impacted yours, apparently, but you've impacted my life too. Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel about the students I've had.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for the students I had.
Yeah.
I've learned something from almost all of them.
Yeah. And it is such a unique career. It's a career where you get to interact with over 1,000 people over the course of your career or more. And you get to rub, their personalities rub off on you, your personality rubs off on them. I mean, it's the most unequal exchange ever. We get to interact with sometimes 100 people a day. And that feels great. Even if you have a class that's just not behaving, you're going to have a class during the day that's just, that you're like, that was refreshing. Like those personalities, those individuals, it fills you up. And that's what's great about this career.
And their energy rubs off on you,
It keeps you young. And what I've noticed is that there are obviously cynical people in every career field, but teaching does prevent you from being as cynical as those in other professions. You're not having to see the worst parts of the world. You're not having to deal with grumpy adults. You are in a position of power as a teacher. But even with all that being said, there's optimism that comes with youth. And there's just this faith and hope in what the future can be.
Exactly.
And being around that all day long for your entire career, like it's a privilege. It's amazing.
And that's also, I think, what the students today need most from us is hope.
Mm-hmm.
There are students who feel hopeless. And if there's anything we can give them, it's hope for their future.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Charlotte, as we know, passes away. And Wilbur, basically Templeton, even when Charlotte's dying, Templeton, he needs something to get involved. And so Wilbur says he can have half his slop for the rest of his life. And then Templeton runs up there, gets the egg sack in his mouth, brings it down, all of Charlotte's children, and they bring it home. And then that gets to chapter 22, which is maybe the saddest part in the cartoon, when you see all the little spiders like going away, bye, and like Wilbur's freaking out because you feel like you're losing the last remnants of Charlotte. But in this chapter, this chapter is obviously built for discussing legacy.
But then you get that phone call. That's one of the last 3 spiders, that hang around or give you the phone call. Or
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that other ones haven't thought about you.
Yeah.
Other students haven't thought about you, but, you got that phone call.
Yeah.
Or
And speaking of you, I can't tell you the number of times that I interact with someone and they're like, how's your mom doing? And then the next thing that follows is, your mom was such a wonderful teacher. Your mom was such a caring teacher. Your mom did this for me. Your mom did that for me. It's just a flow of stories. And so the gratitude is present. Like students that we interact with, they know what we've sacrificed. They know what we've poured into them. But you're right. We can't control the warm wind of spring. We can't control where life is going to take all of our students. And so in that way, our legacy is out of our control. You can't, as a teacher, you can't control your legacy. And if you try to,
it would be so superficial.
oh, goodness.
Yeah.
But what you do have on occasion is you have those 3 little spires, like you said, that are hanging behind, and they're like, hey, I want to remind you of what you did in my life. And that just imprints itself on you. And it just, it reminds.
Refreshes your soul.
Yes.
It really does.
So with that being said, you've had, I would call it an illustrious career in education. What is, when you look back on your career in education, what is the thing that you are most proud of? Or what is the thing that you just look back and you say, to quote Charlotte, she said, I'm at peace. Like, I've given it everything I could give. It's time to retire. I'm at peace. What is it about your time in education that gives you peace?
I'm at peace because I know that I did the best I could in the situation I was in, because different times in my career, I have 4 children. I had lots of obligations outside of school too. And there was always that trying to get that balancing act together. But I gave the best I could to my students, the best I had. And I just feel like my students gave so much more to me. I think the privilege of working with young people, of having their parents trust you with their children. There aren't many professions like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm very thankful. I felt very blessed to be able to be in the classroom.
Yes.
All those years.
Yeah. And there's something about.
And the colleagues that you work with.
Yeah.
I worked with people who were so much better teachers than I ever was, and I can think back on teachers that I learned so much from.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it together is just one huge blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. And it's, you have such a unique lifetime of memories that you get to experience. You get to live vicariously 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
You don't get to go on everybody's vacations, and you don't get to go have everybody's stories, everybody's traumas, everybody's highlights, but you have 1,000 stories to tell because you know 1,000 people that you've interacted with. And so it's really sweet in that sense. And I love, obviously Charlotte's Web ends the way it does for narrative purposes, but I just love the idea of the warm wind, because you can look out, and parents deserve the credit for the successes of their children, and they deserve immense credit. But it is cool to look at students that are off doing all sorts of adventures and living their life, having kids and families and whatever direction they decide to move. And you're able to say, I played a role in that. Especially the ones that turn out,
Especially the students who didn't especially like school.
Yeah.
And you run into them after they've graduated, and then they're in their careers and they're doing so well.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow.
Yeah.
That kid.
They're doing better than we ever could as teachers, they're making triple your salary. Exactly. And helping in their community in huge, powerful, impactful ways.
And it makes you really proud,
yeah.
Because you're like, I remember that kid, and, I didn't know what was going to happen or how this was going to work. And look at him. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good feeling.
So legacy. Some of you that are watching this may be your first year teaching. Some of you that are watching this, they may have dragged you into this during your last year before retirement. Or maybe you are retired. Wherever you sit in this process, there's no doubt that as a teacher, you have considered your legacy, you've weighed your legacy, you've thought about it, and maybe you don't even know what to make of it. But just have a conversation about legacy. That's what this is about. When you leave the teaching profession, what do you want to leave behind? When you leave the teaching profession, what do you want to be able to say was so impactful about it? What is it about teachers in this field that uniquely allows you to just experience something that other career fields don't, and therefore you get a different legacy from your career than let's say an engineer would get from their career? And ultimately, this gets to this digs down deep. This gets to kind of your hopes and your desires, what it's all about. And so discuss that amongst yourselves. What legacy do you want to leave? Do you worry about legacy? What do you hope that your students say about you one day? You can take this in a million different directions, and we want you to take this in a million directions. Follow the warm wind. Follow the warm wind with this discussion and let it go where you want it to go. With that being said, we have wrapped up here we can tap our books together. We have wrapped up our Some KiD series, which is paired with the music video. The music video has its own little separate section in the series, just kind of breaking down what that's about. But hopefully you found some value in this. Hopefully, as we've gone through the 7 different principles that teachers experience, turning a kid just from a kid or a student into some kid. Hopefully in our conversation, you found something of value, something that applies to you in your educational context. But we hope that you've enjoyed the book Charlotte's Web, and we hope that for the rest of your life, you can view your life and your teaching career through the framework that we've created with this series. Thank you so much. Mom, thanks for sitting down with me and being a part of this. Yeah, love you.
Love you.